Hey guys, welcome to my vlog. My name is Amy, aka Cherry Darling. I started this YouTube channel about a little over 10 years ago, and I basically started it to upload and keep videos that I had recorded during my daily life. A few of the videos that I have on here are from the Occupy Houston march that I went to back in 2011, and since then I haven't recorded or uploaded anything. So this is going to be my first video, and I wanted to kind of make it like an introduction video because I just want to start vlogging and recording my life. So if you are watching, I just want to introduce myself and let you guys know that this vlog is basically going to be about my life as a single mom, all the spiritual stuff that I've been going through and experiencing for the past 6 years. Maybe I'll do some makeup videos. I don't know. We'll see. We'll see where it goes. So I chose the name Cherry Darling because back when I was in my early 20s, somebody had came to me, a photographer had came to me, and she had her own website, and she was looking for models, and she wanted me to be a model. So of course I had to pick a model name, and I got it from the movie, the Grindhouse movie, Planet Terror. I think it was Rose McGowan's part. Her name was Cherry Darling. So I always thought that was pretty badass because she had like a machine gun leg, and that was really cool to me. So I was born and raised in Texas, still here. I'll probably be here for the rest of my life. I do want to travel. I want to see like the whole world, you know, I guess once my kids grow up or whatever. About 6 years ago, I separated from my then husband, and it was just me and my 2 kids for a little while. And then 3 years ago, or actually 4 years ago, I met my daughter's dad, and 3 years ago I had my daughter. So we're not together anymore, obviously, but you know, it's for the better. I did some vlog videos, a couple of them when I was pregnant with her, and I may or may not upload those at a later time on my channel. I don't know yet. So I guess the first thing I want to talk about is my spiritual awakening, as they call it. So I think it was about, yeah. Oh shit. Okay, sorry guys, my camera fell. Okay, so it was about 6 years ago, when I was going through the separation from my ex-husband. I started noticing all this stuff, and it was like synchronicities that were happening to me. My friend came to me with a term that you probably all have heard called being an empath. And I know that term is very widely used now, which I think is really cool because, excuse me, that's gross. Anyway, I think it's cool because a lot of people are starting to wake up to, you know, the gifts and abilities that they have, and that it's not everybody has. I mean, a lot of people do have it, but not everybody has it, or knows that they have it anyway. I think that most people do have the ability for heightened empathy. I just think that a lot of people don't, you know, acknowledge it or try to, it's like a muscle, you know, like, I don't know if you've ever heard that intuition is like a muscle. The more that you use it and the more you flex it, the bigger that it gets. And that's very true. So anyway, 6 years ago, My friend came to me with that term, and because I had told her, she was my best friend at the time, and she knew, that my whole life, uh, I could feel other people's feelings. Like when I was around other people, say if somebody was like anxious or nervous, it would make me feel anxious or nervous. And I just always thought that that was normal, that everybody could do that. And she told me that she couldn't. And I was like, whoa, okay, that's weird. So I started looking into it, and I was like, wow, okay, I have this ability that not everybody has. And I got into this group on Facebook, and it was called the Wild Witchy Women Coven, right? So I don't really like call myself a witch. I have been called a witch before, a bruja, a witch doctor, all types of stuff, but I don't really like label myself, I'm just me. I just like to do me. And I feel like if you put good out into the world, you get good back. If you put bad out into the world, you get bad back. It's that simple, So the more good I can do, the more good I can put out, the better I think that my life will be. In this group, I learned so much stuff. And let me just say, I don't have a problem with the term witch. I don't. I think that anybody that wants to call themselves a witch, more power to you. That's awesome. A lot of the things that I subscribe to have the term witch in it, in the titles and stuff. But like I said, I don't do labels, okay? And that's not me judging you for calling yourself a witch. Like I said, that's cool. Do you, boo. Do you, boo-boo. Anyway, so in this group, they were talking about different, psychic abilities and different, they would do like readings on each other and whatnot. And one of the first, I guess, like magical things that happened to me was at this time, 6 years ago, right after me and my husband split, my paternal grandfather had just passed away. He had passed away, I believe it was 2013 or 14, something like that. This was 2015. And I could always feel him with me. And this was before I knew about any spiritual awakening, any spiritual stuff. Let me go ahead and go into my background before I start explaining what happened to me. Let me just make this as confusing as possible. No, it's okay. If you have any questions, I'm an open book. So if you have any questions or anything, like if you're even watching, just leave me a comment or whatever. And, I'll try to answer or explain anything that I can. So growing up, I went to the Catholic Church a few times with my grandma, and it was just never really felt like a place for me. I always kind of felt like an outcast. The people weren't rude or mean or anything like that. It just didn't really seem like a place where I, fit in. And that was like a trend in my whole life. I never really fit in, most places at school or anything like that. And my dad always, I remember being a little kid and asking my dad, Daddy, how come we don't go to church? And he was like, well, you don't have to go to church to believe in God. And I was like, oh, okay, cool. And then I grew up and I asked him, am I baptized? And he said, no. And I said, why not? And he said, because I wanted that to be a choice that you made on your own. And I was like, oh, okay, cool. And I grew up a little bit more, and I asked him, hey, Daddy, do you believe in God? And he told me no. And I was like, oh, wow, okay. And he told me he was an atheist. And I was like, whoa, okay, yeah, I want to be an atheist too, like my dad. I don't believe in nothing. And so I spent a few years, like high school years, telling people I was atheist and thinking that I didn't believe in anything. and that it was all stupid, whatever, you know. And as I started getting older, I started noticing all these things that were happening, and I was like, this can't just be coincidence. You know what I mean? There was situations that I was in where I came like this close to dying, and I didn't. And it was always felt like to me that something stopped that from happening. And so I was like, okay, well, that's strange, you know. And I got a little bit older, and I was like, there's got to be something up there. And in my past, I used to smoke a lot of weed, being honest. I don't anymore, but when I was younger, I did. And I would sit and I would think about, you know, life and the universe and everything and all the things that had happened to me. And so I came to the realization, or, you know, I had started having the thing that resonated with me the most was the thought that there is something up there, and everything happens for a reason, and our lives are, we have free will, but it is predetermined. Like, say we come to a crossroads, you know, or we come to a Y in our path of life, and we choose, you know, we can choose which way to take, but it's already predetermined and set out that we're going to take that way, if that makes any sense at all. So then I was like, okay, well, I'm not an atheist. What am I? I didn't know, you know, and so that was fine, you know, whatever. I was just, you know, focused on having fun and going to work and making money and, you know, just the normal things that 20-year-olds are focused on. And then I met my ex-husband, and we had 2 little boys together. And then things were happening with them, you know, there was things that happened with them that I was just like, whoa, man, that is crazy. That is too much. It really felt like something had a hand on us. It was like protecting us from things. And, okay, so flash forward. Let me get back to my original story that I was telling. Okay, flash forward to 2015. Me and my ex-husband split. And I'm in this group, and my grandpa had passed. My grandpa and I were like this. He was my number one. I was his oldest grandbaby, period, out of like 10 or something. I was sad. I'd have to count on my fingers how many cousins I have, but I have a lot. But I'm the oldest. And so he would always like, you know, I was his baby. He would always tell me that I was beautiful, I was strong, I was smart, you know, things like that. He always lifted me up more than anybody in my life did. And I loved him, and he loved me. And so he passed away. He had Alzheimer's, actually. And so he, you know, he was gradually going downhill, like through the last couple years of his life. He couldn't walk or talk or, you know, do anything on his own. And it was really sad to watch. But so he passed away, and you know, in that time, right after he passed, there was a few times, like I remember I was sitting on my front porch the day that I had heard about it, and we all, you know, we all knew it was going to happen because of his condition, but it was still shocking, and it was, you know, devastating. And I was sitting on my front porch, and I was talking to him, and I was telling him, thank you so much for being in my life and for being such a big influence on me. And you know, just I was crying, and it was like it was October. I think it was right before Halloween that he passed. It was October in Texas, and it was hot, and it was muggy, and it was still, and it was just nasty outside. It was so still, and like as I'm talking to him, you know, in my head, and I'm crying and thanking him. Excuse me, sorry. the trees, like this gust of wind came in. It blew in, and I could literally like feel it in my body and my soul. And I saw the trees, it was just a huge gust of wind and the trees moved. And I felt like that was him, saying, oh, I'm getting goosebumps right now just thinking about it. But that was him telling me, like, I hear you and I love you. And so that was awesome. That was like the first thing. And so flash forward a few years later, me and my husband split. I'm in this group and they're doing spiritual readings. So I was like, okay, let me participate. So I put my picture on there, and what they were doing was looking at different people's pictures that, complete strangers, and they were doing readings based on these people's pictures, like what they saw, auras and, whatnot. And somebody went on there and they said that they saw like a old man figure standing next to me, and he had a twinkle in his eye, and he felt so proud of me, and he was there just, loving me unconditionally. And this lady didn't even know me. She didn't know nothing about me. I never posted anything about my grandpa in that group. And I was like, oh my God, that's my grandpa. And so a little bit later that night, I was in the kitchen, I was cooking dinner, and I was like thinking about it, and I was crying a little bit, and I was like, thank you, Grandpa, I love you so much. And dude, literally, I felt like his arms, and I know this is probably gonna sound crazy, but this is legit, this is for real, this happened to me. I felt like his arms wrapped around me, and I heard his voice for the first time in more than a couple of years. And it said, I'm so proud of you. You are so beautiful. Keep on. Keep doing what you're doing. And I was just like broke down. I was crying, shaking, and everything. And I was like, wow, what a gift. Right? So I was like, okay, man, I gotta get on these people's level. I gotta, if these ladies can read other people's, just their pictures, and help them the way that they help me, I want to do that too. Because it was profound, So, after that, a little bit after that, my grandpa's oldest son, which was my uncle, he passed away. He passed away around the same time that my grandpa did, in October. And at this point, I knew a little bit more about my heightened empathy, or my status of being an empath, or whatever you want to call it. I knew a little bit more about spiritualism, things like that. And the night that he passed away, I didn't know until the morning. The morning time was when my stepmom called me, and she told me that he had passed during the night. But that night, I had a dream. And in my dream, my whole family was at my grandma's house. And he was there. His name was Mark. He was Uncle Mark. He was there, and he was packing so my grandparents used to have like this old green like Astro van, and the Astro van was like pulled up to the front porch, and he was packing it up. He was putting all his stuff in there. And he had lived with my grandma at my grandma's house, for a while. And everybody was there. It was like a party. And I was like, Uncle Mark, where are you going? And I was like, why are you packing your stuff? And he was like, I'm going home. And I was like, you're going home? Don't you live here? And he was like, no, I'm going home. And I was like, oh, okay. In my dream, I was like, oh, okay, whatever, And so everybody was like hugging him and telling him goodbye. He gave me a hug and told me goodbye. And it wasn't sad or anything. It was like a happy, like celebration. And so the next morning when I woke up and my stepmom called me and told me that he had passed during the night, I was like, oh my gosh, that was him telling me goodbye. How fucking awesome. How amazing that I got that gift to be able to say goodbye to him like that. So, that was pretty badass. So after that, I started, when I moved out of the house that I shared with my ex-husband, my mom was living with us in that house, and she had moved out before me and him did. And I was going through all the stuff that she had left behind in her room, and she had a box, and it was a box with the Rider Waite Smith tarot. I think I got that in the right order. And it was the cards along with the booklet on how to read the cards. And I guess she had got it from like a Barnes and Noble or something like that. And it was unopened. I think the plastic was still on it and everything. And something told me, take this with you. And I was like, oh, okay, I will. And so I took that with me. And throughout this time of my spiritual awakening, in 2015 when I was in this group, I had noticed that everything that I did was in threes. So all my pictures and decorations on my wall, there was 3. Every time I would put ice in my cup, it was 3. If I had to say like the same word over and over, it was always 3 times. And I was doing these things, unconsciously, I guess you would say. And so when I was in this group, they were talking about the symbolism of numbers. And, I had another thing was that at that same time when I noticed I was doing everything in threes, I was at the H-E-B grocery shopping, and I pulled up in the parking lot. I got out, and in the middle of this parking lot in the H-E-B in the middle of Pasadena, Texas, was a little black figurine of a dog. It's a black dog figurine, like a plastic one. And I was like, whoa, that's strange, so I picked it up, I didn't think anything of it, put it in my car, because I have kids. I was like, oh, okay, a little toy, whatever, I can sanitize it and give it to them. So when I found out that I was doing everything in threes, then I also found out that because a lot of people in this group were into like goddess worship, right? And I've also my whole life I've been really interested in learning about all the different gods and goddesses, like Greek gods and goddesses, just from all different nationalities and cultures and things like that. So they were talking about this goddess, and her name was Hecate, right? And I did a lot more research on her, and her thing was number 3 and black dogs. And she apparently is the goddess of witches. And I was like, whoa, that's strange, right? So I feel like she was calling to me, and she, kind of showed me that this is the path I need to take. And just to clarify things, I don't do any type of like black magic. I don't do any hexing. I don't, do any cursing. I don't do anything like that. I live my life to be a good person and to help people out. So anything that I do spiritually or magically is going to be for good, right? So I thought that was really cool, and it's more than just a coincidence. So after that, let me think. After that, I started busting out the tarot cards. And I was like, okay, so, because I've always had gut feelings about things. And in this time I learned that that's intuition, which is something that you guys probably all know about. And, there was always that little voice that told me do this or don't do that, and most of the time I would listen, sometimes I didn't, So I busted out the tarot cards, and the very first reading I did was on myself, and it was like spot on. And I was like, oh my God, right? And so I was like, okay, this could be a pretty cool little tool for me to use. And so I basically was just doing these readings on myself. I did one on my sister, and it was basically bad news. And so I felt bad, when I was doing it and telling her. But all of these things that were in the reading ended up coming true. And I was like, whoa, okay. So, I did it a few times, and then I kind of put it away because I went through a lot of life changes in this time, and I had to move from my hometown. I lost a lot of what I had, and I had to move up here with my dad and my grandma and them so that they could help me out with the kids so I could go to work and whatnot, and, try to adjust to being a single mom, because I had been used to being a housewife for a big chunk of my life. And so I kind of quit, focusing on that stuff, and I was just going to work. And at this time, I was very broken. I was very lost. I didn't know who I was, what I wanted. I didn't know how to love myself. I didn't know how to function on my own. And I was basically, I felt stuck. And I didn't know what else to do besides try to look for happiness in other people and dudes, guys, right? I had spent, when I was younger, I lived with my mom, and then, excuse me, I went immediately from there to living with my now ex-husband. So I had never lived on my own, I had never had my own anything. I had my own cars and things like that, but most of those were with the help of other people. So in this time that this is like 2015, 16, 2015 and 16, I moved up here. I was stuck out in the woods where my dad and my grandma live in the middle of East Texas. And I was just focused on going to work and trying to take care of my kids the best that I could. I met my daughter's father, and I tried to, throw myself into helping him. And, he was a total narcissist. It was that whole narcissist empath dynamic that you may have heard about. It was not good. It was not healthy. I ended up getting my own apartment, and I was lucky enough to get my own apartment in the housing, right? Because I was just a single mom at the time. I was dating this guy. He was in jail. Y'all don't judge me, okay? I was dumb. I know now. He was in jail. He got out of jail. He moved in with me, and we created my daughter. I got pregnant with her, and I basically tried to focus on him as much as I could, which was a mistake. Which is okay, because mistakes are how we grow and learn. The leasing manager of the apartments told me that he couldn't live there with me because he had a record. And so he got an apartment in a different town. And so I was like, I'm going to move in with him, right? I'm going to live with him. I'm going to spend the rest of my life with him. All just the dumb shit. And so we did that. I moved in with him. I left this badass apartment that was mine. And he ended up fucking me over pretty bad. Lost all my stuff again. And had to move back in with my grandma again. Okay? So, but I was pregnant with my daughter. And So I went through that. That was really hard, having to do that on my own, being pregnant by myself. I had my 2 babies. I had my dad, my stepmom, and my grandma around, but they were very much like, we'll help you if you need it, but don't depend on me. And so I learned a lot. I learned so much, not just about myself, but about who I am and what I will and will not take or accept from other people. I learned about how to do things on my own. I was forced to learn that, and which I'm grateful for all of this now. It was a struggle. I went through a struggle, just like everybody does, okay? But through that struggle, I learned, and I am grateful for that. So now I'm here, and within the past, I had my daughter in 2018. Luckily, in 2019, the leasing manager of those apartments let me come back because she is the sweetest lady, right? So she let me come back. I got a different apartment. And my daughter, when we were living at my grandma's, we were living in a tiny bedroom, me and my 3 of them, right? The 3 of my kids, sharing a room, sharing a bed. My boys were sleeping on the floor. Now I manifested this apartment, you guys, okay? But that's going to be another topic for another video because I'm already at half an hour. If you're sticking around, thank you. So now we're here. In October of last year, it's 2021 now, so it was in 2020, I started meditating, right? So I had got a spiritual reading last year in 2020, a distance reading from a lady on Facebook, and she was amazing. She didn't know me personally, but she called out so many of the personal things that had happened to me in my life. She helped me heal a lot of that stuff. So I'm gonna kind of wrap this up now, but I just wanted to tell you guys a little bit of my backstory and let you know that this vlog is gonna be about all the things that I have learned spiritually, the things that I have learned when it comes to healing, because any knowledge, and I'm no expert by any means, I'm not an expert, but all the things that I have learned have been very helpful to me. And looking back at who I was back in 2015, 2016, I am a completely different person, and I have grown so much because of all these things. So I'd like to share this knowledge with you guys. I'd like to be able to help anybody who needs it. And I guess the next video I'll do, or maybe, a couple videos down the line, I'm going to talk about what happened when I started meditating, because it was amazing. And, my whole life, up until my spiritual awakening, I had been a skeptic. And I had been, it's just got to be all about science, and you got to show me facts, and I'm not going to believe in things that aren't there that I can't see. But now, since through all these personal experiences, after all these things I've learned, I know now that this shit is real. This shit is for real, you guys. So, yeah, that was a lot. Thank you for listening. Thank you for watching. And I will be back probably next week, maybe tomorrow. I don't know. It's my channel. We'll see. We'll see what's up. Yeah, so thanks, guys. And I hope that you liked it. I hope that you want to tune in for more, because like I said, I want to help. I want to share the love. I want to help heal this generation for the generations to come. So I hope you guys have a good day, and I hope you have a good week, and I will talk to you again next time. Bye-bye.